Hello, greetings, and welcome to Dividend Blasters. This is our 64th video. It's been a couple months since I've done a video. I've been very busy. I do have a day job, and actually was a little under the weather for a few days this past week. But I am excited to be back getting the 64th video in before the end of the year. It's been a fun-filled, exciting year. So our topic today is put cash in your pocket. This is all about cash flow, dividend cash flow. And that's what we're looking for. And part of this is finding the very best value stock you can for under $100. We all know you can buy fractional shares on a lot of platforms, and I do that. But that's not what this is about. This is about buying a full share for less than $100 and getting a dividend and getting that dividend to grow that less than $100 share into a decent dividend snowball. That's what our purpose is today, is to talk about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how I selected 8 dividend stocks that are less than $100 that have very good dividends. Let's press on. First, a disclaimer. I am not your financial advisor. The purpose of this video is for information and education. It reflects my own personal opinions, my research, and my experience as an investor for more than 30 years. So please do your own research and consult a financial advisor prior to making any financial decisions. So I applied 6 criteria, and this is typically what I do when I go ahead and I make an investment. But there's an additional criteria here that I already mentioned. It's got to be less than $100. So if it's $100.01, I didn't consider it, but I own a lot of those. So that's the purpose of this. Less than $100. Other criteria, and it's specifically the next one relates to the dividend yield and the dividend growth rate, or the CAGR. Uh, Taken at the aggregate level, I want to see something at or around 10%. So, you could have a forward dividend yield of 5% and a forward dividend CAGR of 5%. That's 10%. In a lot of cases, you're going to see something less. You'll see maybe a 3% yield and a 6 or a 7% CAGR. That's fine. If it's a little under 10%, I'm going to look at the other factors and I make a decision. And I did do that in a couple instances, but it's kind of the rule of thumb here for me. Dividend growth streak, on or about 3 years of a growing consecutive dividend, at least, is what I'd like to see. If something's a little bit less than that, I'll take it into consideration. Ideally, you want to see 5 years, 10 years, but sometimes you don't see that. Dividend payout ratio, 60%. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's less. Less means it's safe. More, you start to wonder, well, can they do it? And then you start to look at other measures like their cash flow. And you also look at their dividend growth streak. So, one lesson learned is you got to look at all these things together. There is no one metric that tells the entire story. You got to do digging. So that's what we do. Last 2 metrics are very important. I'm looking at the forward PE ratio. I want to see something less than its peers. So I'm going to be looking at how a particular investment compares to the sector median. I want to see how they do against their competitors. Is it a good value? Are they underpriced? Are they overpriced? And then last but not least, I'm going to be looking at profitability, their levered free cash flow margin. How do they compare to their sector median? I want to see something that shows that they have a higher levered free cash flow margin. All right, let's start the countdown to the 8 stocks. And these are not in any particular order, but I'm going to go through 1 through 8, and I'm doing it by market sector alphabetically. Okay. First one is Verizon. I chose Verizon. They are going for $37.70 a share. They have a forward yield of 7%. They have a 5-year dividend CAGR of 2.02%. So they're a little under 10%. They're around 9%. I do like the fact that they have a dividend growth streak of 19 years. They're 6 years away from being a dividend aristocrat. Their payout ratio is over 60%. It's 64%. I do anticipate it'll go down as profits go up. They've been investing heavily. They've had a lot of debt they're paying down as they invest in their 5G network. Okay, valuation. I like their forward PE ratio of 8.03. It is almost half of the sector median. That tells me it is a good buy relative to their competitors. And who are their competitors? Well, take a look. AT&T, Deutsche Telekom, Nippon Telegraph, BCE, and Swisscom. Those are their competitors around the world. Profitability. I'm looking at that levered free cash flow margin, 13.3%. It is almost double the sector median of 7.65%. Verizon is in. Number two, Altria Group, the tobacco company. They are going for $40.34 a share. I do like that dividend yield of 9.7%. And I love that dividend CAGR of 8%. That is a unique combination to have a dividend yield that high and the 5-year CAGR almost as high. So, not bad. And what I do love is they are a dividend king. They have a dividend growth streak of 54 years. I love that forward PE ratio of 8.14. It is about half the sector median of 16. So that is a good buy. The levered free cash flow margin is killing it. Over 58%. The sector median is under 5. So they are making this is a cash rich company. They're a cash machine. So I love the fact that that basically speaks to their capability. They can continue to pay these things fairly easily. Now, you know what? I did skip over the payout ratio. It is high. It is over 70%. But when I'm looking at that levered free cash flow margin and I look at that forward PE ratio, they're in. Um, you can see their peers: British American Tobacco, Japan Tobacco, Imperial Brands, RLX Technology, and Vector Group. Next one. Next one is Devon Energy, the oil company. They are going for 45.30 a share. The dividend yield is low. It's 1.77%. The 5-year growth rate is 21.87%. They've been paying a growing dividend for 6 years, but what you don't see here, and this is a common theme with a lot of these energy companies, is that they often pay special dividends. So instead of getting a quarterly dividend, you're going to get a quarterly dividend and you're going to get a special dividend every quarter. So you'll very likely not get 4 quarterly dividends. You're going to get 8. That's not reflected here in this graphic. I will do another video where I actually talk about special dividends in the energy sector. You see that with Devon Energy. You also see that with a company called Diamondback, which I have several shares of, as well as another company called Coterra. And those aren't the only ones. Those are just very much the theme because the energy companies do very, very well. If you look at the valuation, they got a forward PE ratio of 7.8. It's less than the sector median of about 10. So it's pretty good. And as far as profitability, the levered free cash flow margin is 10.86. It's almost double the sector median. Very profitable. Devon Energy is a cash machine. You can look at their peers. I mentioned Diamondback, which is a very good investment. They're a little bit more pricey, and so I didn't, select them here, even though I do have several shares because they're more than $100. Coterra is another one. They are actually less than 100. You should give them a look. Marathonoil is another one, and that's going to be the next one. And then there is Hess, and we're all aware of Hess, and they've been in the news lately for good reasons. Okay, next one, Marathon Oil, ticker symbol MRO, going for $26 a share, dividend yield 1.8%, 5-year growth rate of that dividend more than 15%. That's killing it. Now, the dividend growth streak, less than 3 years. It's 2 years, but they're going to be 3 years. They will. I just know it. Payout ratio, very safe, less than 15%. I like that forward PE ratio. It's under 9, which is less than the sector median, which is under 10. We already talked about that. And look at that levered free cash flow margin. It is almost 19%. It is almost 4 times, 3.5, 4 times the sector median of 5.86%. making a lot of money. Marathon Oil. Not to be confused with Marathon Petroleum, another good oil company, a little bit different mission and scope. They're more of a refinery. These guys are more exploration, a little bit smaller market cap and a little bit cheaper. And that's why they're here. And you can see their peers EQT, Texas Pacific, APA, and Permian Resources Corporation. All right, let's go to the next one. Next one is Medtronic. It is the medical equipment company going for $82 a share. Forward yield of that dividend 3.36%, and 5-year growth rate 7%. That gets you over 12%. I love that dividend growth streak of 10 years. Payout ratio, it looks like it is, if I'm reading that right, it looks like it's 61%. I am okay with that. That is close. Forward PE ratio 15.96. It is less than the sector median of 19. Levered free cash flow margin, it's killing it. Look at the difference. Sector median 0.29%. Medtronic's levered free cash flow 13.98%. It is absolutely killing it. Lots of cash in this company. Speaks to their capability to continue to provide that growing dividend. You can see their peers and competitors: Stryker, Intuitive Surgical, Boston Scientific, Becton Dixon and Company. It's a well-known company, and Siemens Healthineers. Next one, number 6, Bristol Myers Squibb, the drug company, going for $51 a share. I do like that yield, that dividend yield of 4.8%, and that 5-year growth rate of 7.34%. That's over 12%. Growing dividend for 7 consecutive years. Payout ratio is less than 30%. It's a very safe dividend. But what I really like is I like that forward PE ratio of 6.82. It's about 1/3 the sector median of 19. And look at that levered free cash flow margin, 27%. It is killing it. The sector median 0.29%. It dwarfs it. It is just, you know, outstanding. And you see a pattern with some of these. Sometimes you see a couple of choices that I've made within the same market sector. Another healthcare one, just like Medtronic, and you can see their peers. You can see Zoetis, uh, GSK, Merck, uh, Daiichi, and Pfizer. I have shares of Pfizer, but I did not choose them. That's another video. I like Pfizer, but I did not choose them. Next one. And the last one is an industrial stock. It is a defense contractor, RTX. What is RTX? Used to be called Raytheon. They changed their name recently. They're going for $84 a share. They have a forward dividend yield of 2.8%, a 5-year growth rate of that dividend of 5.39%. So it's a little bit under 9, around 9%, but it's close. What I do like, and I'm going to be flexible here, is they have a growing dividend of 30 consecutive years. They are a dividend aristocrat. And the payout ratio, it's safe, it's 45%. That valuation, I love it. It is 16.81. It is less than the sector median, that forward PE ratio. Profitability, levered free cash flow margin, it is 8%, and it is more than the 5.98% of the sector median. Their profit is just fine. Raytheon is a good defense contractor. They win a lot of contracts. I don't know if they win as many as Lockheed Martin, which I have several shares of, and they're a little bit pricier. But Raytheon is one massive company, one big company. And you can see Airbus, you can see Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Safran, and General Dynamics are their peers. Folks, that's it. Those are the 8. Just to recap, we have Verizon from the communications sector, Altria, the tobacco company from the consumer staples sector, Devon Energy, and Marathonoil from the energy sector. From the healthcare sector, we have 3. We have Medtronic, we have CVS Health, and we have Bristol Myers Squibb, all from healthcare. And then finally, the lone pick from industrials, RTX, the defense contractor. I made no selections from consumer discretionary, from financials, from materials, from real estate. That was a tough one. From technology and from utilities. And you know what? I have very favorite stocks in several of these, but I didn't choose them here because either they were over 100 or maybe there was a hurdle that they didn't quite meet. However, there's a lot of good companies there, but these are the eight. These are my recommendations for 2024 that you can buy for less than $100 that will put money in your pocket. So, folks, that's all. I hope you found this to be enjoyable. I would kindly ask you to give us a like to this video, subscribe to our channel at Dividend Blasters, share the video with a friend. We're also on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we are on Facebook. So feel free to connect with us there. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and Happy New Year.